Welcome to this gentle yoga class, where we work with the theme of entering into a new season. As spring arrives, we're going to look at the gentle transitions in this yoga class as we mirror the gentle transitions into the spring season. You might want some blocks, a strap or a belt, and a blanket to pad out the knees. We're going to begin lying down on our mat. So set yourself up in a comfortable position, lying down, perhaps taking the legs to the corner of the mat, and you're just allowing your body to rest in the space, letting those shoulders melt down towards the earth. Palms can face up towards the ceiling. As we begin this yoga practice, we're just going to begin checking in with the breath. Begin simply to observe the breath, noticing the natural rhythm, the rise and fall of the chest, the abdomen, perhaps noticing the depth, the quality, the smoothness. Beginning now to bring some connection with our movement and the breath. Taking our blossom breathing. We're going to take our hands as we inhale, spreading our fingers. As our abdomen expands and takes in the air, we also expand our fingers, opening up our palms. Exhaling fully, curling the fingers into the palms, making a little gentle fist. As you inhale, spread those fingers out, connecting that movement with the breath. Moving at your own pace of breath here. Tuning into the subtle movements of the hands and our natural rhythm of breath. Inhale, opening. Exhale, closing. And just allowing the fingers to relax now, the palms facing up towards the ceiling. Returning back to the rhythm of your breath, perhaps placing the hands on the belly, feeling the softening of the body. Just bringing an intention to your practice. So this is an invitation to bring a Sankalpa to our short flow today. Whatever time of day you're practicing, what do you wish to bring to the mat? And what do you wish to take away into your day? Holding on to your Sankalpa here as we begin to flutter the eyes open. Taking a full body stretch. Reach those arms up above the head, stretching the feet away. Up as much space as your body wants right now. As we exhale, bringing the knees in towards the chest, giving yourself a nice little hug. Perhaps rocking backwards and forwards, side to side, just massaging out that lower back. Okay, extending those legs back out to bring the right knee in towards the chest, just hugging that right knee in, as much as feels comfortable for you. This might be a lot or a little. As you exhale, extending that leg up towards the ceiling, perhaps taking hold of the back of the leg, the back of the calf, perhaps taking the toe. Might feel good at this point to use a strap, placing your strap over the sole of the foot. You might wish to gently straighten and bend through that leg, just coming into a bit of dynamic movement here. Begin to really tune in to what your body wants. And just like spring, we're going to ease into everything nice and gently, not going to force, just slowly merging into a new state of energy and growth. Straightening out through that leg. You can keep a micro bend or a bend as much as you need in that leg. We're going to just take that leg out towards the side, coming to our external rotation in that hip. Take that strap in one hand if you're using the strap, keeping that grip of the hand quite soft. No death grips. Perhaps just taking that left hand to the hip, ensuring that it stays connected to that earth. If you feel as though that hip is lifting, just draw that leg back to the midline, pushing the heel up towards the ceiling. Beautiful, bending through that knee, coming into our half happy baby, aiming to bring the knee towards our armpit. And exhale, release, extending out through that right leg, bringing that left knee in towards the chest, giving it a squeeze. Perhaps curling into a half Apanasana. Exhale, release. Extending out through that left leg. Notice the difference between the two legs. As always, no two sides are the same. Push the sole of the foot and the heel up towards the ceiling. Take hold of where feels good on your leg, perhaps taking hold of the toe or the strap. Let's take our bending and straightening through that leg as feels good for you. And taking the right hand to the right hip, finding our external rotation. If you've got a strap, the strap comes into the left hand. Noticing the edge point where your body starts to feel the need to tilt. And just bring that leg back to the midline, pushing the heel towards the ceiling. Having a little explore here. As you exhale, bend through that knee, coming into our half happy baby. Either holding onto that strap or drawing that knee towards the armpit, or taking hold of the back of the thigh. Exhale, lowering down that left leg again. Coming to bring the soles of the feet to the floor, knees pointing up to the ceiling. Again, just exploring some movement with breath. So taking our dynamic bridge here, we're going to take the arms above the head as we lift our hips. So as we inhale, we're drawing those arms up as we lift the hips, and exhale, lowering down softly. Now if it feels better for you, you could come into a supported bridge, placing a block under the sacrum in whatever orientation, and just moving the arms with the breath. Take whatever option feels the kindest for you today. Inhaling, finding that reach with the arms, and exhale, softening back down towards the earth. Inhaling, finding that reach. As you exhale, softening back down. Continuing with this, or taking one leg at a time. So lifting up with the right leg. And exhale, release. Inhaling, exhale, release, opposite leg, inhaling as we lift, exhale as we release, just one more, inhaling, we lift, exhale, we release and soften. Hugging those knees in towards the chest, removing any props that you have here, coming into our full Apanasana. Tucking the chin to the chest, perhaps the forehead to the knees, and either take a rock and roll here, coming to our seated position, or coming onto the side, and coming up however feels good for you. Arriving in your Sukhasana, easy seated pose. Sitting up in a block or taking the legs out in front of you, coming to a diamond shape. Or the legs can come straight. Just coming into a position where we can feel the length of the spine, lifting up through the crown of the head, and also feeling the grounding through the sit bones. Soften those shoulders down. As we inhale, drawing those arms up towards the top, palms facing each other. Exhale, dropping that left hand towards the floor. Feeling that beautiful stretch down the side of the body. Does not matter how far you're reaching over or how high that arm is reaching, go to where your body feels like it's going to get the most benefit. Inhaling back up to top as we exhale, dropping over to the opposite side. Inhale back up to top, reach those arms up. As we exhale, take our right hand to our left knee, coming into our seated twist. So on the inhale, we find the lift. On the exhale, we find the twist. Really using that breath to increase the sensations. Breathing into the sensations. Move with the rhythm of your breath. Beautiful. Keep that right arm where it is, taking the left arm up and over, rounding through the spine. Take the hand towards the knee, tucking the chin to chest, almost taking a slight lean back as though we're leaning back into a hammock. And inhaling, draw the forearms towards each other, perhaps finding your eagle bind, perhaps just bringing the forearms together, aiming to lift those elbows up. And as you do, you should feel the stretch across the shoulder blades, across the back of the body. Either staying here, or if it feels good, hinge at the hips, taking the eagle arms towards the floor. Inhale, returning. Opening up to your cactus arms. And release, soften those shoulders. Inhale, drawing through those arms up towards the ceiling. Exhale, left hand comes to the right knee. Right hand can drop behind you and using it as an anchor behind the lower spine. Keep the lift through the crown of the head. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. Keeping that left hand where it is, windmill that right arm up and over, finding the rounding through the spine. Perhaps tucking the chin in towards the chest, taking a slight lean back, as though we're leaning back into a hammock, feeling the spine rounding. Inhale, drawing those forearms together, taking our eagle arms the opposite way round this time, or perhaps just drawing the forearms together, or the backs of the arms together. Wherever you are energetically, drawing those arms together, feeling that beautiful stretch across the back. Once again, if you want to take this into the forward fold, bring your eagle arms down towards the earth. Everything in yoga is an invitation. Take what feels good and just leave the rest with a non-attachment. Come back up to top, open up those cactus arms. Coming to swap the legs the other way round. Just taking our wrists, moving them round in circles. This can be as slow or as fast as you wish. Big circles, little circles. If you've got any wrist pain, just moving really gently and making sure you move in both directions. Extend the hands out in front of you and gently encouraging the fingertips back towards the forearm. Making sure to do both hands. Taking the hands behind the back, taking our mudra here, pointing the fingers towards the floor and drawing the shoulder blades back and down, opening up through the chest space. Perhaps hinging at the hips, maybe taking the arms lifted slightly. Maybe just staying slightly tilted, drawing the arms towards the ground. And exhale, release, just shaking out those hands. Taking a roll over the knees, coming to our 4-point kneeling. The option here to lay a blanket across your mat to protect the knees, just while we're adding load onto the knees. And placing the blocks at the top of the mat if you feel like you might want these. So coming to our tabletop position, stacking the wrists, the shoulders, the knees and the hips. we're going to begin taking our cat-cow. So tuck our toes and take our inhale. We're going to drop that belly, taking the gaze upwards, feeling the stretch down the front body, opening of the chest space. Exhale, tucking the tailbone under, feeling the rounding through the spine. Tuck the chin towards the chest. Think about pushing that floor away so we get that beautiful dome, a Halloween cat shape. As we push the mat away, finding a bit of our umbrella back. Inhale, taking our cow pose. And exhale, taking the articulation through the spine, letting that spine ripple, moving with the breath. Move at your own pace. And feel free to jazz up your cat-cow, perhaps taking it side to side, perhaps doing a bit of a dancing cow in both directions. Just moving into that beautiful movement, waking up all of that connective tissue. Lovely, tucking those toes down towards the floor. Let's extend that right leg towards the back of the mat. Tucking those toes down and just pushing out through the heel. So we're really stretching out the back of that leg. The back of the knee is pushing up towards the ceiling. You might want to move forwards and backwards as we stretch into the pose. If you want to build on this, we're going to lift through that left leg, bringing the knee towards the nose and lowering down. Increasing the load on the wrists, the stretch in towards the hands. Bringing that right leg towards the nose and extending that right leg out towards the side, coming into our gate pose. Inhale here as we exhale, taking that right hand towards the extended leg, reaching up and over, only going to where feels good for you. And then bringing that left hand down towards the floor, perhaps taking the hand to a block. Reaching that right arm, find the long line of energy from the toes to the fingertips. And if it feels good for you, we're going to take a windmill with the hand here, reaching up, finding that extension. Option to lift up through that right leg. Keep those glutes engaged. And as we exhale, release, sweeping the arms to the front of the mat. As we exhale, sinking those hips backwards, coming into our child's pose variation. It does not matter how far you come backwards or how far the forward leg is out to the side. We're feeling the stretch on the inside of the leg, perhaps into the hips. Exhale, coming back to a tabletop position. Extending out through the left leg this time. Let the toes tap down. We're pushing out through the back of the heel. The back of the knee is pushing up towards the ceiling. And if you want to add a bit more, we're lifting the opposite knee to nose and release. Knee to nose and release. Once more, knee to nose and let it release. Lovely. Lifting up through the left leg, taking it out towards the side as we inhale, engage that core, come on up to top. Exhale, taking our side bend. Both arms come back up to top, drop that right arm down, finding one long line of energy from the tops of the fingers down to the toes, perhaps lifting that left leg up towards hip height. Engaging those glutes, feeling that beautiful stretch, but also bringing a bit of balance into this movement. Exhale, lower the legs, sweep those arms to the front of the mat, bringing that left leg in, tuck the toes. We're going to hover the knees, finding our bear pose, adding a bit more load into the wrists, warming up the body. Keep that core engaged. It doesn't matter how long you hold this for. If you need to tap down at any point, take a breath. Maybe begin to bring the weight into the toes or start by lifting the knees. If you have your knees lifted, we're going to take some side to sides, dropping our hips, coming into twisted bear. Option to take the lower leg extended out to the side, keeping that core engaged. Bringing the knees towards the floor, sinking the hips towards the sit bones. Let those hands walk forwards, coming into our Balasana, child's pose. Option to stay here. Perhaps it might feel good to place a block between the sit bones and the heels, or you can come onto your tippy fingers, softening here with every exhale. Inhale, returning back to our tabletop position. Tuck those toes again, hover the knees, sending the hips backwards and up, keeping a bend in the knees. Find the length in that spine. We can slowly begin to straighten out those legs, coming to our first Ardha Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. This pose involves the whole body, but the main focus is the back, so keep a generous bend in the knees, pedal out the legs. Walk the hands up towards the feet, let the head and hands hang super heavy, arriving in our ragdoll. Perhaps swinging side to side or taking hold of opposite elbows, maybe even taking a gentle clasp to the back of the head, adding a little gentle traction. With each of those exhales, feel the softening in the body. Bending through the knees, peel up through that spine, vertebrae by vertebrae, as we begin to open up our heart space, finding our cactus arms. Exhale, release. Walk to the top of the mat, finding our Tadasana. Anchoring down through the feet, lifting up through the crown of the head. Taking our hands out in front of us, palms facing each other, opening the arms out to the side, and then the arms come down by the sides, keeping that chest space nice and open. Our strong mountain pose. Inhale, extended mountain. Exhale, optional back bend. Hips come forward as the shoulders drop back. Returning back to center, bending through the knees, swan dive those arms coming down to our forward fold. Does not matter how far you come. Inhale, halfway lift. Hands come to the shins or thighs, lifting the crown of the head forwards as the tailbone pulls back, finding length in that spine. Exhale, take your hands back down towards the floor, the right leg steps back, dropping that right knee down. As we inhale, reach those arms up towards the ceiling. Exhale, find that twist towards the left hand side. Take the gaze forward. And taking the gaze backwards, and noticing the difference from how it feels from where we're reaching our drishti. Windmilling that backhand around, framing the front foot, taking our hip bones back, coming into our half Hanumanasana. Left hip is drawing back and our right hip is plugging forwards. Option to move in and out of this pose, whatever feels good for you. Depending on your flexibility, perhaps you can hinge at the hips, navel to spine, drawing the torso closer towards that leg. Coming back, frame that front foot, tucking the right toes as we push down into the hands, stepping the front foot back into plank, knees up or knees down. Choose what's best for you and your body. Let's find our chaturanga. So inhale, we shift the weight forwards over the wrists. As we exhale, start by taking a micro bend into the elbows, maybe coming towards a 90 degrees. Exhale, belly to floor. Our forearms placed down onto the mat, coming to a figure 11, and finding our Sphinx position. Drawing our elbows towards our torso, opening up that chest space. Relax the shoulders down. Exhale, lower towards the mat, placing the hands adjacent to the chest. Tuck the toes, coming back through child's pose. Finding the length in the spine as we lift the hips up. Downward facing dog. Either take one big step, the right foot comes to the top of the mat, or you can take lots of little steps. However your leg wants to get there, do what suits you. Left foot meets the right, inhale. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, extended mountain. Exhale, optional back bend. Returning to extended mountain, bend those knees, swan dive those arms, coming into our deep forward fold. Chest towards thighs, keeping a bend in the knees if that works better for you. As we inhale, come to our halfway lift. Crown of the head is reaching forwards, tailbone reaching back. Exhale, plant those hands adjacent to the feet. Left leg steps backwards. Drop the left knee down and pad out as needed. As we inhale, find the length in that torso. Soften those shoulders. Feel the expansion of our body taking up space. Exhale, left hand comes forward, twisting to the back of the mat. Taking the gaze towards the front hand. Gaze to the back hand. Noticing the difference here. Moving within a posture. Gently transitioning the sensations. Exhale, windmill those arms to frame the front foot. Drawing that right hip back. Thinking about plugging the left hip forwards, right hip is drawing backwards. Half Hanumanasana. Option to move dynamically within this pose, or just find the stillness here. If you want to feel a little extra added spice in this pose, take your left hand, taking hold of the pinky toe side of the foot, drawing that side of the foot towards the shin, feeling the stretch within the leg. New sensations perhaps. Exhale, release. Hands frame that front foot. Tuck that left toe, stepping the right foot back to the back of the mat. Coming to your plank or half plank. Yogi's choice. Inhale, shifting that weight forward as we exhale, micro bend or bend those elbows, chaturanga. Lowering all the way down to the floor. Inhaling, hands stay adjacent to the chest, finding our cobra, Bhujangasana. Elbows hug into the chest, keep those shoulders soft, glutes engaged. Exhale, lowering down towards the floor, pushing through the hands, coming back through our child's pose. Find the length in the spine and then lift the hips, coming into our downward facing dog, however you wish to get there. Now find yourself as coming to the top of your mat, step, jump or float, the left foot leads. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, hands come to heart center. As we inhale, let's find our extended mountain, bringing that right leg up to find our balance. Doesn't matter how high the leg is lifted, hands can stay to the chest, not a problem. We're going to slowly step that right foot to the back of the mat, finding our lunge. As we exhale, slowly dropping that knee towards the floor, or hover an inch off the floor. Yogi's choice, wherever you are, is just perfect. Whatever your body needs right now. So even if you've dropped that knee down, or if you're hovering, you're taking what you need. We're going to open out towards the right side. Twisting here, coming back up to top, and then opening out to the left side. Reaching those arms back up to top, picking up that right knee if it was on the floor, and slowly stepping ourselves maybe a little bit further, but coming into our warrior 3 position. So hands come towards the heart center. You can do this as a gradual transition, moving that back foot in, pushing the weight through the left leg, hinging at the hips, coming into our Virabhadrasana 3. Toes of that right foot are pointed towards the floor, our hips are pointed towards the floor, our hands can come out in front of us, and we can embrace all the wobbles as we know we're entering our growth zone. However high you are lifted is just perfect. From here, we're stepping that right foot through, coming back up into our half Tadasana. Exhale, release. Opposite side. Inhaling that left leg, slowly stepping here. back towards our lunge position, dropping that left knee towards the floor, either coming all the way down or holding it an inch off the floor, keeping those legs super engaged, inhaling here. As we exhale, turning our chest towards the left-hand side, inhaling, exhaling over to the opposite side, feeling that beautiful twist, coming back to top. As we exhale, straighten out that back leg, sending that back leg out, and maybe coming in one big movement to our warrior 3, or taking several micro steps and then coming into the position. Wherever you are is just perfect. It does not matter if you wobble. It's our growth zone. Think about tapping in, tapping out if you're wobbling, approaching this pose gently and just arriving at your own pace, just like spring. Exhale, bring that left knee through, bringing the left knee to the top, and release. Hands to heart center. Feeling the heat in the body, the change of the energy. Perhaps closing the eyes and noticing all those sensations that we can feel right now. Finding a smooth inhale. As we exhale, bend your knees, swan dive those arms, coming into our deep forward fold. Sinking those hips down, arriving on our sit bones. Taking our hands out in front of us and peeling down through the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae, until we arrive in our full body stretch here. Make that torso as long as possible, feeling all the contact points of the body on the mat. And inhale. As you exhale, bring your knees towards the chest. And take the soles of the feet to the floor. Bumping the hips over towards the left-hand side. Let the knees drop to the right. Take that left arm out towards the left-hand side, perhaps letting that gaze follow. Perhaps keeping the gaze neutral, or even let that gaze soften over towards the right, whatever feels good. You can place a block under the knees as well for a little added extra support. Really focus on keeping that breath smooth and steady as we're adding to the twist. We're compressing the abdomen slightly, which means that the strength of our diaphragm is really going to have to be controlled to keep everything smooth and steady and maintain that soft connection with the breath. With each exhale, feel the softening of the shoulders. Gently bringing those knees back, pointing the knees up towards the ceiling, bringing those hips back to center, and then bumping the hips over towards the right hand side. Let the knees drop to the left. You can pad out the knees with blocks or with a blanket, perhaps taking that arm to the right hand side, the gaze to the left, feeling that beautiful twist. Soften into the breath. Feel the body arriving into the stillness. Take a smooth inhale here, and on your exhale, bringing the knees back up towards the center. Bring the hips back to neutral, perhaps hugging the knees in towards the chest. And then just tuning into your body here, taking any other movements that you feel like your body wants right now. Perhaps a full body stretch, perhaps a happy baby, maybe putting on some layers and beginning to set yourself up for your Shavasana. Your final resting pose. Maybe today you take the traditional corpse pose, taking the feet to the corners of the mat. Our palms softly facing up towards the ceiling. Back to where we started, and taking a few moments here to tune back in with the breath. With each exhalation, soften to the earth and just commit to this stillness for a few minutes. I invite you to stay here for as long as you wish, holding this space for yourself, for your body and for your mind. And then when you're ready, extending the arms above the head. Take one final full body stretch, hugging the knees in towards the chest. Bringing some movement. Perhaps rolling over to one side. And in your own time and your own way, keeping the eyes closed or the gaze soft, beginning to make your way back up to the seated position. Bringing the hands to the heart center, thanking yourself for your practice. Coming back to your Sankalpa. What do you wish to bring to the mat today, and what do you wish to take away? Holding that with you. Namaste.